Welcome to Daytime Ottawa here on Rogers TV on this Monday. Hope you had a fantastic weekend. Hope you got out to enjoy a little bit of Winterlude. We had a great special. Big thanks to everybody from Winterlude and organizing our live show at the Canadian Museum of History. It was absolutely fantastic. Great show for you today. We are talking a little housing on the show today. We're talking some Sens hockey. We are talking dog treats on the show. We've got a great rescue organization, a couple of puppies that you can adopt at home. But we start here in the kitchen with one of our favorites, Paula Roy, host of Paula Roy's Favorite Foods that you can watch right here on Rogers TV. Of course, food editor at Ottawa at Home and recipe developer. Welcome. Great to have you here.
Thank you. Always a pleasure.
I love this spread because the big game's coming up on Sunday, and this is your inspiration today, right?
Absolutely. I did a lot of research to try and come up with some new ideas. I mean, there's standard fare that people like to serve when they're watching big sporting events, but these are just maybe a little surprising.
Okay. Where do you want to start?
So we'll start in the great state of Nevada, which is over here.
This is our Nevada area. That's on right. The table. Okay.
So I didn't want to play favorites by picking dishes from KC or San Fran. I thought, let's go with the host state.
Exactly.
And I've never been to Vegas. You been?
Me neither. No. Everyone tells me I've got to go with my brother for like one of those 4-day weekend things, but I haven't been.
I would just want to go to see all the shows.
Me too.
And eat. Definitely
yes,
eat.
Of course.
So food in Vegas. So one of the things I learned in my research is that Nevada is one of the top 10 onion growing states in the U.S.
Okay.
Did not know that. So I have made a roasted red onion dip, which you can taste if you wish.
Well, of course
and
I can, yes.
I grew up with, as many of our viewers may have as well, Lipton onion soup mix dumped into sour cream and stirred up. I was never a fan. I found it was harsh, and if they didn't get stirred properly, you get this lump of dry powder in there, which was just too much for me. Sorry, Mom, but it just wasn't a fan.
True, though.
So roasting these red onions, and I roasted them in the air fryer.
Okay.
You do it in the oven. And then it's mixed with all kinds of goodness, cream cheese, sour cream, mayo, for this just great creamy texture. You can make it ahead and freeze it. And the roasting makes the onions kind of sweet and mellow, as I'm sure you can taste.
Absolutely.
So there's
delicious.
a little tribute to onions of Nevada.
The onions of Nevada, folks, right here.
That's right.
All right.
So then another thing that I learned is that all-you-can-eat sushi is a very big deal in Vegas.
Really? I can see that, yeah.
You know, even though there isn't an ocean anywhere nearby, but it's just in a lot of the hotels, it's a great way. It can be quite inexpensive, especially vegetarian sushi, and they can just crank it out to feed people. And often they charge a lot for all you can eat, but they have rules that you can't go back for more until you've finished what's on your plate. So if you don't finish it, that's it, you're cut off. So it's kind of interesting. Yeah.
There's a couple of places in Ottawa, actually, that I've been to. If you don't finish it, you pay the extra of what you would pay for it on the menu, which makes sense. I mean, because you don't want somebody having a huge tray of sushi and not eating it all, right?
Absolutely. So I have chosen to switch things up. If it was a larger gathering, it can be a lot of time to make, hand-rolled sushi for a big group. So my solution is sushi salad.
That's a great idea.
And so it's the same, the cooked Calrose rice sprinkled with the seasoned rice vinegar, cooled, and then I've stirred in pickled ginger, green onions, grated carrot, cucumber, and the nori, the seaweed, just cut into little pieces. So you get all the flavors.
I see you've added it here.
If you wanted to serve it fancy, like at your Grammy party last night, you can put it in little Asian spoons. So that's fine. But I love these cups, and I have actually a lot of ceramic little bowls at home, so people can have their own portion.
Right.
And you're not having people digging in a bowl and just all those things. So this is a wasabi pickled ginger soya dressing to go on the top. And then I'll have you grab a spoon and just sprinkle a few black sesame seeds on there. And we use black just for contrast because it shows up a little bit better.
Where did you find that sauce? Is that just in any Asian market?
No, I made this.
Oh, you made this yourself?
Yeah. So it's wasabi powder and the ginger from the pickled ginger bottle, the juice, and water and soy sauce. And that's it. It's very simple.
That's it. It's that simple.
So I'll let you
have
a little taste test
here. I love sushi. So
I love this. And if you want to get crazy, you can take wonton wrappers and brush them with oil and bake them to make wonton crisps to serve as a dipper.
That
for sushi,
so good.
Isn't it great? It's fresh, it's light, it's easy. Again, make ahead. You can make this a day, even 2 days before, because I didn't put any fish in it. But you could add that mock crab meat is really good.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Diced shrimp. I would put avocado in, except I didn't want it to get brown while it was sitting.
Of course.
So whatever you like in your sushi, you can throw in there.
Yeah, and you know what? As you said, you can make this beforehand if you wanted to add a little bit of fish, right, the day of, then, cut it up and throw it in there.
So, just a fun, fresh little thing.
I love this idea.
And then last but not least for our Vegas tribute or our Nevada tribute is this fancy little cheesecake. And it's called a burnt Basque cheesecake. I take exception to the burnt thing because it's not really burnt. It's just that the top gets caramelized and quite
Right.
dark.
Okay.
I like to use these little 4-inch springform pans. They're super handy for all kinds of things. Even if you're molding like a tuna tartare or a steak tartare, you can shape it in that pan and chill
absolutely.
it. So they're great to have on hand. You could use a muffin tin and just bake it for a little less time if you didn't have the pans.
Right.
So it's got no crust, as you can see on the cheesecake, and it just has a little bit of cornstarch to kind of hold it together, so it's gluten-free.
So this is famous to Nevada?
Well, the reason is that in the gold rush of the 1850s, a whole bunch of settlers came from the Basque region of Spain to Nevada to participate in the gold rush.
Okay,
and their ancestors are still there 170 plus years later. There's a community of about 7,000 or 8,000 Basque people in Nevada. They have Basque festivals.
Look at the research you've done. I love that. Do I have to try this too?
Yes,
oh, no.
So sorry.
So, I mean, this is really just your, like, what makes it a little different than a regular cheesecake? Is it that?
It's the simplicity of it. So definitely the top being so darkened for sure. Oh, you're just holding it up. Okay, good.
Yeah, I'm just making sure they get a good
The fact that it doesn't have a crust, it doesn't have sour cream in it. Creamy. It reminds me a little bit of a creme caramel sort of a thing.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, or creme brulee. I really like it.
It does have that flavor to it. And as you said, it's so soft and just so creamy.
Also a make-ahead. They freeze beautifully, and then you can just thaw them the day of. So.
Which is great. I love that the fact that you've got all of these things, and I think everything you brought today, there's some type of make-ahead, whether it's a week or a couple of days.
Absolutely.
But then you can enjoy yourself. I was telling you. We'll talk about, I know, the chicken wing thing later, but, you know, if you're out there on the barbecue and you're making something, you're missing all the action.
Big plays. I know.
Yeah, exactly.
I know. And I take exception to that.
All right, what else have we got here?
I love to serve a few things that are surprising.
Okay.
So this is for you to taste. It's a new kind of pickle that I came up with. I don't know if you're a pickle person or not.
I love pickles.
I thought so. I'm a big pickle person. So I want you to see if you can guess what has been used in the pickling solution. Is there any flavor that stands out for you?
That's really unique. Is there ginger in there?
Close. Take the first 3 letters of that word.
Ginseng?
Just the first 3 letters.
Oh, gin.
Yes, it's a gin and tonic pickle. So literally gin, tonic, lime juice, and juniper berries. And I love putting things out in no explanation and just have people sort of wonder what it is. They taste it and they're, so it's just kind of fun.
It's almost like a pared down sweet pickle because it's got a little bit of that sweet pickle to it, but not the sugar. And I think the tonic gives it that sweetness because there's not a lot of sugar in the brine, not a lot of salt either, but just super fun. Again, another make ahead, and I just have those out in a dish on the table. Yeah,
and
those are
see
fantastic.
how people react.
All of these available on constantlycooking.com.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. This one is available in this wonderful cookbook, which I know you're so proud of, right?
I am. So I don't know if there's fans of The Office out there, but I was really excited a couple years ago when they approached me to contribute a chili recipe to this cookbook. So my vegetarian chili is here. See, there I am.
There you
and
are.
I really like a vegetarian chili just because I find there's a lot of other meat dishes typically at a football watching party.
Right.
So to go with my chili, I have made molasses dinner rolls.
Oh my
And
goodness.
it's a thing I grew up with in Nova Scotia. People called it brown bread because it was brown in color, but it's not heavy in texture.
Okay.
So there's so many weird things about brown bread. People think about rye bread, which I love for certain things, but it's heavy, it's dense. They call whole wheat bread brown bread in parts of the U.S. when it's just
I'm going to have you hold that thought because
Okay.
you're coming back for another segment. We've got to take a quick break. We'll be back with Paula Roy right after this to continue on this molasses little buns we have here. Don't go anywhere.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
Watch Podium exclusively on Rogers TV.
Paula Roy, and it's my pleasure to welcome you back into my kitchen for another season of Paula Roy's Favorite Foods. My approach to food is pretty straightforward. Fancy is fine, but when you're in a time crunch or have a really hungry and patient family to feed, I say simple recipes made with wholesome ingredients that you probably have on hand are the best. And that's exactly what you'll find on Paula Roy's Favorite Foods on Rogers TV.
On Rogers TV.
Welcome back in the kitchen with Paula Roy, host of Paula Roy's Favorite Foods here on Rogers TV. And let's just finish that conversation with the buns. We were talking about these delicious molasses buns, and you're talking about sort of different ways that, you know, people describe breads and so forth,
That's right? So growing up in the Maritimes, we call this brown bread when it was low form or bun, and it's just semi-whole wheat, so I think it's about 1/3 whole wheat to 2/3 white flour, and not very much molasses, but just enough to give it a little sweetness. And I find with the smokiness or the heat of chili, it's the perfect antidote, and they're really soft and fluffy inside.
Nice.
Just so good, and great for sopping up the bottom of the bowl.
Yeah, and chili is such a great thing to do, right? Because you can make a big batch of it. You can leave it in your crock pot or whatever.
That's right.
Right, and keep it warm, and then people can, guests can just serve themselves.
That's right.
And if you need to go back for seconds, just, hey, head over to the buffet table. You and I were talking before the show, and I was saying each and every, when the big game comes, on that Super Sunday, we have people over, and I do chicken wings and ribs. And I say my frustration with the chicken wings, you got to be there, right? The ribs I smoke, and I just have to sauce them in the last 15 minutes or so. But the chicken wings, you got to stand out there. You have the solution for me today, right?
I do, and this was born out of my frustration of seeing the mountains of bones. I feel like I'm in a Flintstones movie or something. I just can't stand it. I don't like eating and having my hands all goopy. And I've not in my own house, but other houses, seen people cheer with chicken wings in their hands, big play, and the wings go flying. It's just, there's all kinds of wrong for me.
That's entertaining, at least.
Well, when it's not at your house.
Not for the host.
So my solution is these are buffalo chicken meatballs. So ground chicken with all kinds of yummy seasonings and some of this fabulous Frank's buffalo sauce in the meatballs, as well as in the sauce that they're having a little bath in. So it's Frank's, some garlic, butter, and lemon juice to make a really nice sauce.
Nice.
And I mean, serves up so easy. And again, as you say, you could have them sitting in a crock pot or on a simmer in an instant pot, whatever you have, and just so easy for people to eat.
Close up of that and my cut thumb. Here we are talking in the kitchen, and I sliced my thumb.
In the kitchen?
In the kitchen last week.
Oh, time to sharpen your knives.
No, it wasn't that. It's time to pay attention.
Oh, yes.
I have very sharp knives. I was in a hurry. Probably me, I left a bread knife on the counter in the morning, and I came back from doing a bunch of errands, and I cut some peppers with the bread knife.
Yeah, which is
and I was distracted because not smart. Yeah. But I will say, we have so many great local hot sauces. Yeah. When it comes to commercial, that's my go-to. It actually has flavor. It
does, and what people don't realize is this one is not that hot. I don't like incendiary food. I want to taste the food, and I don't want to kill my taste buds. So this one has just the right amount of heat. So what do you think? Super easy.
Really good.
All the deliciousness of a chicken wing, and no fuss, no muss.
Agreed. Yep. Agreed. Love it.
So kind of fun.
All right, what do we have? This is your newest, right?
Well, a lot of these are actually all of these are new. These are except for the sushi salad. Everything is new.
Okay.
My soon-to-be world famous tachos.
Tachos.
Tater tot nachos.
Nice. Okay.
Had to come up with something kind of fun.
I like it. Okay.
So just bake them as per usual. I like these coin-shaped ones. You can get the cylinders, but I find that these plate a little bit better. I'll let you put your dip of choice on there.
I'm gonna do the guac.
I've got guac, salsa, sour cream. You could sprinkle chopped pickled jalapenos on there, black beans, cilantro, anything you want. So just, fun
Really
and
good,
tasty and easy. Again, you just bake the tots in the oven, so you don't have to attend to them a lot. And the cheese just takes a minute to melt because they're so hot.
Well, and the big game celebration's not just for adults, too, and for the kids, right? And the kids will love something like this. They'll love all of these over here as well. So I think you've hit, you've hit all the marks here so far. All right, next up, what do you got here?
So we're talking about great local products. I am a huge fan of Spice Girls. Lily Bond, I'm just so impressed by her. And I wanted to do something with one of her products. And I really love her everything bagel seasoning. I used to make my own, not anymore, just like I don't make my own Montreal steak spice, and I don't make my own pizza herbs, because all of hers are so good.
You and me both.
So these cheese balls are made from cream cheese, cheddar, a little bit of goat cheese, and a little hot sauce. It's actually Frank's, and some Worcester and pepper. I think that's about it. And so you make the mixture, whip it with an electric mixer, so it takes about 50 seconds.
Okay.
And then just chill it a little bit, and then just form the balls with your hands. So when I was growing up, it was always the big ball on the plate covered in chopped nuts.
Yes,
my
mom still makes that one, and Mom, I love it. By the way, happy birthday, Mom, if you're watching right now. It's my mom's birthday.
Yeah, it looked like a crime scene by the time people had been chipping away at it. Oh, I thought there's got to be a better way. So the better way
and this is like a savory cake pop,
it
right?
is exactly
Look
right.
At that. It's fantastic.
Just super fun, super easy. Again, make these like 4, 5, 6 days ahead of time.
Okay.
So
I'm gonna give this a taste.
Super easy.
This is a really hard job, by the way, everybody. If you're wondering.
I'm sorry I forgot to tell you to wear stretchy pants. Yeah, so just fun.
Really
the cheese is kind of mild in flavor, but I find the everything bagel just makes it pop. And it is good if you put it on a little bit ahead of time, because it softens like the minced onion and stuff that's in the everything bagel seasoning. It absorbs a little bit of moisture from the cheese. So.
All right, and lastly, this is something you haven't made, which is surprising. I think this is the first time you might have brought a product, a food product, I should say, that you haven't made yourself. What do you like about this company?
Well, I am pandering to, I hate to be gender biased, but I don't know, the loudest parties, actually that's probably not true anymore. If you are a loud partier, if your friends are loud partiers and you need to get an apology gift for your partner because your Sunday festivities are a little too boisterous.
Rambunctious and boisterous,
Nuts.com, a favorite Toronto company, so you could have these in reserve to bring out at the party. For February, they're doing these great cookie boxes. There's a different mixed nut assortment with some beautiful gold-colored chocolate-covered almonds, which I just love. Really elegant. And if it turns out that you don't have anything to apologize for on Sunday, you can save it for Valentine's Day. So you kind of got both bases covered.
I am one of those boisterous people, so I might have to.
Yeah, great Toronto company, like I said, Nuts.com, and their shipping is fast. Really nice people, and
wonderful. Yeah, what a great idea. All of these, fantastic. You always put so much effort into everything. All of these brand new, by the way. Paul is a recipe developer, so if you visit her website, constantlycooking.com, you're going to find something new all the time. And of course, she has her great show here, Paula Roy's Favorite Foods, here on Rogers TV. Just check the schedule at rogerstv.com/Ottawa. You can find out all those airtimes. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Enjoy the big game.
Go Chiefs, go 49ers.
Oh, you're not even choosing.
No.
Will you have a prediction?
No, I don't even want to do that.
No prediction. I'm going with Chiefs. We'll be back with more right after this.
This is a brain in urgent need of mental health care. But because 3 out of every 4 Indigenous people experience racism in healthcare, she may not get the help she needs. Become an ally. Rise above racism in healthcare.
I'm a singer-songwriter from Six Nations, and I've been writing songs about my experience, and with that being said, it's helped me hold hope in my heart in following my dreams and being resilient to everyday Indigenous battles. Competition between spirit, earth, and wind, let me tell you now. This song in particular, The Shiner, is a special song that I wrote for my grandfather. He was a snow snake maker, and that is a Haudenosaunee winter sport. It's my job to educate and to share, and the music allows me to do that.
He'll be shining snow snakes and mudcats to the end of his days.
Join me, holistic chef Daniela Croco, for season 4 of Simply Cooking by Chef, right here on Rogers TV.
Learn all about the creation of the National Capital Region on The History of Ottawa, according to Phil Jenkins, on Rogers TV.
The show. Hey, we talked a little culinary in the kitchen with Paula Red. We're going to talk a little culinary, not necessarily in the kitchen, but we're in the kitchen area. But something for your furry friends, those of you that are dog lovers like myself. You're probably going to be distracted by a couple of our next guests, but this is a wonderful business to introduce you to. I'm joined by Victoria Vaudry. She's the owner of Doggo Cakes and Treats, and Zoe Hennessy, rescue volunteer with Riverview Rescues. Welcome to you both. Great to have you here. And maybe we should introduce the puppies here as well. Who do you have here with you, Zoe?
We have Mozzarella and we have Bocconcini.
I can see the theme you're doing here. I love it. Victoria, but I want to start with you talking a little bit about this business because the inspiration behind this business is very personal to you. Tell me a little bit about it.
So I call it my grief project. We had a family dog. He was our first dog and love of our lives, and he passed away. And he was a bit of a lemon. He couldn't eat anything without getting sick.
Really?
Yeah, like commercial dog treats, he'd be sick the next day, guaranteed. And he passed, and obviously that was hard on the family.
Yeah.
And then a couple months later, my mom passed from cancer. And it was a rough time. It was, you know, stuck in the house. You think of things, you're like, I need to stay busy.
Right.
And I've always loved dogs, and I had my first dog that we had adopted a couple months prior.
Okay.
And so I was like, yeah, I'll make Lee some treats. I'll see what happens. And, you know, made some for neighbors, and it kind of just expanded from there.
And it's not just any kind of treats. I mean, these are incredible. Like, have you always been artistic in this way? Really?
I cannot bake for humans if my life depended on it. Maybe
I appreciate your honesty. I appreciate your honesty.
Yeah.
But I mean, you obviously have skills too, because you don't. These aren't just any treats. I mean, you've decorated them beautifully as well. Was that something you wanted to have some fun with too?
Yeah, of course. It's like for humans, it's always fun when you give them something cute and you get to snap the photos with them. The dogs care a bit more for the taste. But my mom and sister were big bakers.
Okay.
So that was another element of it, was how do I combine something about my family dog, which was dog treats, and my mom, who was an avid baker. So it was like, let's combine the two, and I get to spend time with dogs. So.
And how did you connect with Zoe here in Riverview?
So I follow a lot of the rescues and try to help out as much as I can. And I also host a bunch of events in Ottawa that are dog friendly, and I usually give a spot to a rescue so that they can advertise some of the pups up for grabs and promote their business and share about the rescue.
Well, Zoe, that leads me to you. Share a little bit about Riverview Rescue. Tell us about yourselves.
We're a volunteer and foster-based rescue, so everyone that works for us has a regular daytime job and also works for the rescue.
Okay.
We tend to get dogs from the north where they're overbreeding in reserves, and we fly them down actually into Ottawa.
Okay.
And find them foster homes, and are currently looking for more fosters because we have another batch on the way.
I see. Tell me about the stories about these two dogs. Do they have any particular story?
They don't. They are also from up north.
Okay.
They're mixed breeds. Usually we don't really know where they came from or how they came to be, but we're happy to have them.
Nice. You mentioned fostering, but obviously the end goal is adopting.
Yes.
What is that process like? How do you work with people?
Usually there's an application that we get people to sign. If you want a specific animal, or if you would just like to meet some of our animals, you can apply to be an approved adopter. where you'll be able to have visitation rights with any of our animals, and you'll be pre-approved to adopt whenever you like.
Nice, excellent. I want to do a little show and tell here, Victoria, because you brought along some of your favorites, I'm sure, and some of your furry friends' favorites. Tell us what you brought with you here today.
So we have our Valentine's Day boxes. So those are a mix of different types of flavors and treats. So it's kind of like a chocolate box, but safe for your dogs. You'll also notice we use a lot of carob in our treats, so that's a natural plant that's similar to chocolate in taste, but non-toxic for animals. So you'll see we have it on our donuts or our pup cakes.
Right.
Our pup cakes we make with potatoes and probiotic yogurt. So it's very natural for a lot of dogs and doesn't give them an upset stomach. And then we also have our standard cookies. We have our mini packs, and we have our training treats. So that's actually a new product we just launched, because the dogs go crazy for them, but when you're on the walk and you need something small, they're good to get them to listen.
Yeah, it's a great way to really encourage your dog, right? During those times where when you're trying to, perhaps change their behavior or teach them something new. We're looking at some of the pictures you sent along. So, I mean, these are exquisite. So do you work then with clients to do custom things, and then you've got some, some that are, I guess, just regular ones that you offer as well?
Yeah, sometimes I get special requests, like that had a Loki cake, so they were like, what can we do? And then I kind of get some creative freedom to do what I think works best.
Right.
Other times they're very easy go. They're like, whatever you want to do, and that's always fun too. But then other times it's like the tennis ball. They're like, they love balls, and then it just kind of gives me a go ahead to play around and see what you can do with potatoes and yogurt.
Nice. Let's go back to ingredients, because that was probably the most important thing for you. I have a Maltese myself that has one of those delicate stomachs, and we're making our food that they eat regularly at home ourselves because of that, and that's something that you've kept in mind too, right?
Absolutely. So we don't use wheat in any of our products. It's all oat flour and almond flour. So dogs tend to have a lot of allergies these days, especially to chicken, so we have no protein in any of our products.
Wonderful.
And that's it. Yeah, they're made with, we have pumpkin, we have banana peanut butter, we have cheese flavor, which a lot of dogs tend to go crazy for. And it's great because I've had a lot of people, they'll have a whole cake and they're like, they kind of ate the whole thing and they were fine the next day, which people aren't used to, right?
Right, exactly. You've got a couple of events coming up. Let's talk about your Valentine's Day event.
So I have one coming up this weekend. I have two, actually. I'm on the 10th at Healthy Pets HQ. We're doing a fundraiser with Ottawa Dog Rescue with proceeds going to them. And then on Sunday in Cumberland at the RJ Kennedy Arena, we're having a market. It's all dog friendly. You're going to find dog vendors, so I'll be there. They have leashes, a groomer on site, and then a mix of other types of vendors as well.
Is that the Barket?
It is the Marketplace.
I love
Marketplace.
It. Before I let you go, Zoe, how do they get in touch with you if they're interested in adopting one of these or some of the other wonderful dogs in your care?
Yeah, you can go to riverviewrescues.ca, or you can give us an email, riverviewrescues@gmail.com, and you can ask anything you'd like. Our volunteers are happy to answer.
Wonderful. And thanks to you and all those volunteers. I know how much work it is. Really appreciate it. And thank you, Victoria.
Absolutely.
Really appreciate it. Visit her website, by the way, doggocakesandtreats.square.site. And of course, you can find her on social media as well. We'll be back with more. We're talking housing, in particular affordable housing, coming up right after this.
Public transit, garbage pickup, parks and recreation programs, snow removal on your street. How can you stay informed about these and other important local services? Tune to City Council coverage on Rogers TV. See your community leaders at work on Rogers TV City Council coverage.
I'm Sam LaPrade. I hope you watch An Hour to Give, because this week we're featuring the Ottawa Hospital Foundation. We're talking about the world-class care and the world-class talent that is right here in our hometown.
With clubs, Leagues and courts in every province and territory across Canada, squash is the sport for wall-to-wall fun, fitness, and friendship. From coast to coast to coast. Learn to play and you'll want to do it every day. Squash. Play inside the box.
You're watching an interesting local show on Rogers TV and you want to know more. That's when you head to RogersTV.com. Our website provides more information about our programs, our hosts, our schedule, and about how you too can get involved with Rogers TV. Visit us online at RogersTV.com. With Rogers TV, you can cheer on the home team from the comfort of your living room. We'll head to the rink, the field, the court, or the pitch, so you don't have to. Tune in and cheer on your local amateur athletes on Rogers TV.
Welcome back to the show. You've heard about it, of course, in the media. It's been a topic of conversation for quite a few years now. Ottawa talking, mentioning that we're in a housing crisis, a housing emergency, and that's why there's so many great organizations that are doing a lot of work behind the scenes that perhaps you're not aware of, and that's why I'm excited to introduce you to my next guest. He's the Executive Director of the Ottawa Community Land Trust, Mike Bilthouse. Mike, welcome. Great to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
I think the inspiration behind the organization's pretty obvious to most, but tell me a little bit about your mission, perhaps.
Sure. So the Ottawa Community Land Trust was created in 2021, so we're an incorporated nonprofit organization. I think that within the affordable housing ecosystem, what makes us a little bit unique is a couple of things, but one of them is that we're losing a lot of affordable housing in Ottawa. So we talk about, we need to build, and there's government programs that are trying to build, but the reality is in the last 10 years, we lose about 31 affordable units for every new one that is built.
Really?
And so those are units that are being bought and redeveloped into more luxury, or their rents go up when a tenant changes and so on. And there are very few organizations that have the capacity or mission to really try to acquire those and remove them from the speculative market and turn them into community-owned, nonprofit, affordable housing.
Yeah. So the idea being to preserve it before we actually lose it. So how do you go about then accomplishing that mission?
Yeah. So our mission is to try to raise capital in creative ways, and I can talk about that, but ultimately to go onto the market and acquire, through a real estate transaction, multi-residential rental apartment housing.
Right.
And then, turn that under community ownership and preserve it as affordable in perpetuity. We're brand new, so that's kind of our first focus, but there's no doubt that, by accessing land, that removes significant cost of development, and so we're interested in doing that in the longer term as well, so that we can both preserve affordable housing, but also expand it here in the city.
You mentioned raising capital, so then you work with the community to try to raise capital. How do you go about doing that exactly?
Yeah, I think that any property that we buy is going to be a mix of capital sources, and so rental housing, there's going to be some income from the rents that tenants pay, and so that can go some ways towards a purchase. We're also looking to work with investors who might, maybe be interested in a little bit less of a return than they might get elsewhere. We're looking at launching in the next couple of months a community bond. A community bond is much like a term-defined GIC or even RSP, where an individual or a business can give us a loan for 3, 5, 7 years. We'll repay that in its entirety upon maturity with a return. The return is maybe a little bit less than you might get at a bank, but you're also helping us grow a fund that we can then use when a property becomes available. We can tap into that fund and buy that property.
And that launch is coming in a couple of months?
Yeah,
few months?
Yeah, so we're hoping by March, April. If you were on our website today and you looked at the Invest tab, you'll see some details about when these are coming. We're calling them Housing Forever bonds because you're contributing to a campaign that helps us keep affordable housing forever.
And you've had some success already. Let's talk about that success, Mike.
Yeah, we have. Purchasing housing is not the easiest thing. We need some capital. And so we were able, though, last year to purchase our first 6-unit apartment building. So 6 apartments where the rents were well below market averages. We wove together some funding from a small municipal grant. So Councillor Leeper tapped into some funds that he had within his ward. We have some, we'll pursue a traditional mortgage with some of the rental income that we're making. And, when we launch these community bonds, we'll tap several $100,000 from those community bonds to help us secure the long-term financing for the property.
Yeah, and Mike, we've heard from all levels of government about housing, and we need to build more and so forth. And I think everybody's heard about that side of things. But you want different levels, all levels of government, to start looking at this type of mission. Have you reached out to different levels? What sort of response have you received so far?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're trying to work with the community, but there's no doubt that public funding can help us preserve something that's even more affordable, right?
Right.
And so, as I mentioned, Councillor Leeper and the city are exploring this area. That was, we received about $400,000 for that first purchase. There are cities like Toronto that have a municipal acquisition funding policy and program, so we would love to see the city of Ottawa develop that. We know that for $100,000, you can preserve a unit of affordable housing, which is considerably less than the cost to build. There are proposals right now with the federal government to create a federal program, similar provincially. When the finance committee was in town a couple of weeks ago, we presented saying that some kind of a provincial fund, again, for less per door could make a significant impact. We need new supply. We absolutely need new supply, but I don't think it's supply alone that can get us out of the crisis that we're in right now. We need to preserve some of what we have.
Why were you interested in particular in this initiative?
Yeah, I mean, personally and professionally, my background is sort of in that housing and homelessness space, but I fundamentally believe in a city where everyone has access to a safe, affordable, attainable place to live. I think that when we have that, you can focus so many of your resources on what you want to do, in life, your recreational opportunities, your professional opportunities, your family, and so I think our organization, as a community land trust, it also comes from a really rich tradition of community-led organizations across North America trying to say that land is there for community benefit, and I think that vision resonates a lot for me, and I think finally, the community has been amazing. I think that anytime we talk to people about the community bond as well, folks are like, I can't on my own solve the crisis. But I have something. Maybe I have something that I can loan. Maybe I have volunteer time I can give. And ultimately, by working together, this is a pretty amazing community, and we can do some things.
Agreed. On that thought, are you looking for volunteers, board members? What are you looking for from the public?
Yeah, that's great. So we do have, we're governed by a board. We'll have our AGM in April or May, and we will have a couple of vacant seats on the board, so that we'll absolutely be recruiting for that. We have a number of committees around community engagement, around our financial operations, around our asset management. So, if any of those are areas where people have skills and experience, we would love to hear from you. We are a member-led organization, so if you were to go onto our website, you'll see information on how to become a member, also how to invest. And of course, as we launch that community bond campaign, we want to be out at farmers markets, we want to be out talking to the community. And so if folks enjoy hanging out, chatting with folks about this, and if this vision resonates, we'd love to work with you. Absolutely.
Wonderful. Excellent. Mike, really appreciate the time today. Thank you so much. We brought up that website on screen. I'll give you a reminder at the end of the show as well. Brandon Plant coming up after the break, the host of the Sens Talk podcast. We're talking everything Senators right after this. Don't go anywhere.
This is a man's heart. A heart in desperate need of medical attention. But because 78% of Indigenous people experience racism in healthcare, he may not get the help he needs. Become an ally. Rise above racism in healthcare.
Leonard Thompson, 13 years old, diabetes mellitus, 65 pounds.
Starve the child to let them live? The treatment's as cruel as the disease. It's a death sentence.
Dr. Banting, this could be it. He's the first to receive this trial. But will it save him?
It's not pure enough. So we try again. And again. And again.
Before the discovery of insulin, diabetes was a death sentence. Banting, Best, Collip, and MacLeod's breakthrough has saved millions of lives. Leonard Thompson's was the first.
Well, I think both he and I have lost track of how many Faces Magazine award nominations he has, including Best YouTube Channel, Best Sports Podcast. Well, listen, just look him up, okay? Brendan Plant joins me. He is the host of the Sens Talk podcast. Welcome back to the show. Great to have you here.
What an intro. I don't know if I deserve it, but I appreciate it. Thank you.
Of course you do. I think you're up for like 4 or 5. I mean, that must feel great, right?
It's unbelievable. Last year, also a few nominations.
Yeah.
We won one, the Best YouTube Channel of Ottawa in 2023, and just being nominated is a great honor, but to win one also, I mean, of course, is an honor. So
Yeah,
it's just really cool. It's just really cool.
For people that aren't familiar with the podcast, you're in your 11th year, so congratulations on that. I mean, that's special in its own right, Brandon. But you know, what inspired you to start the podcast?
Yeah, so you know, it was 2013 playoffs in April, and big Sens fan then, but obviously bigger now. And I don't know, for some reason, my friend Noah and I, we just wanted to do a video during. Before the Habs Sens series in 2013, or just around then, and kind of just took off from there.
Nice.
And I just kind of stuck with it since.
Well, let's talk Sens. The trade deadline, I know it seems far away at the moment, but there's already talk. We're hearing rumors around. When it comes to the Sens, what rumors have you been looking at that sort of stand out to you right now?
Well, the one that stands out for sure is the Chris Tanev rumors from the Calgary Flames, a rugged defenseman. He's in his final year with Calgary, so there's a lot of speculation that maybe a playoff team will trade him, but or trade for him, I should say. But the Ottawa Senators are very interested in him because if he comes to Ottawa, it wouldn't just be for this year. Let's just say Ottawa might not be in the playoffs this year. It's looking that way.
It's looking pretty bleak. Yeah.
But it's for the next couple of years. Ottawa doesn't have a lot of tenacity, a lot of grit on the blue line. He'd certainly bring it. He's also a veteran, which this team desperately needs. Top 5 youngest team in the National Hockey League in terms of average age. So this is a good defenseman that might be brought in this trade deadline, but they also might go after him in the offseason as well as a free agent. So we'll see.
34 years old, Tanev?
35, give or take around there.
Like when you think about that, I understand, the grit and why you would want a player like that, but does that not concern you as far as age goes? Because he's going to want to sign a contract, as you said.
For sure.
An extension, right?
Look, if he's signing for more than 2 years, absolutely. That's where you're getting into the gray area, right? But for a 1-2 year deal, I mean, you have Tyler Clevin coming up. Eventually here, you're going to have to make a decision on Eric Brandstrom. There's going to be a hole. And then once again as well, look, I mean, they need tenacity. They need grit on that blue line.
Yeah.
And if it's just for a year or two, just to help Tyler Clevin settle in, sort of like what Hamnick did with Jake Sanderson.
Right.
That would be huge. Because once again, this team next year, we said this year, but next year they have to make the playoffs. They have to. Tanev could be a big reason why.
What about on Ottawa's side when we look at the trade deadline? Tarasenko's names come up, Kubalik, which I think would be pretty difficult to try to trade him at any rate. But Tarasenko, and any other players come up? And what do you think about Tarasenko?
I'll tell you one thing about Tarasenko. I understand if he wants to leave. I have no indication to believe he wants to leave. But if he wants to leave, I get it. He's in the latter half of his career, win another cup. I understand. If we can keep this guy, though, for another couple of years, kind of like Tanev, just like Giroux, this is the kind of guy that you need in the locker room. We're one of the youngest teams in the National Hockey League. He's a veteran. He's a cup winner. He's a play driver. He scores a lot of goals, has a lot of points as well. Very good player, a compliment player, I like to call it, for that middle six, especially on that second line. With Kubalik, he's got a good shot. for that power play for any playoff team, they'd like to get him. And you're probably looking at a guy like Mark Kastelic, who wins a lot of faceoffs, nearly 60% in the National Hockey League in terms of his faceoff rate, and Brandstrom is other depth guys that teams might look at. But it's going to be more of a quiet trade deadline in terms of the players we sell compared to previous years, that's for sure.
Jacques Martin, took over as coach, and actually those first 10 games, we actually looked worse than what we saw with DJ Smith. But if we compare those first 10 games to the last 10 games, quite a change, right?
Absolutely. And in the last game on Sportsnet, they did a very good graphic showing his first 10 and his last 10 games as Senator head coach. And the most notable changes, for sure, on the defensive side of things, but just in general, if you look at the shots against per game, it was roughly 35 shots against per game in his first 10 games taking over as head coach. In the last 10 games or so, 10, 11, 12, Jacques Martin has dropped that down to 25, 26 shots per game. The penalty kill, been bottom 3 worst in the league, which makes no sense. It's been one of their strong suits for a while.
Yeah, agreed.
It improved by 15, 20 points in the last 10 to 12 games. So on the defensive side of things, we've absolutely seen improvement. But it's just the power play. And we were speaking about this before the show, but the power play is lagging, and it just does, I don't know. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, and I hate to say it because, if I think of my favorite Sen of all time, it's pretty obvious for most people is Daniel Alfredsson, right, Alfie? He's been put in charge of the power play, and we haven't seen any production since he's taken over.
Absolutely, and it's a bit shocking because Daniel Alfredsson was a hell of a power play guy. He put a lot of goals in the back of the net on the power play, and the issue with Ottawa, in my opinion, on the power play is they're not utilizing the one-timer. We don't see Josh Norris taking those one-time shots. Tim Stützle, we're not seeing it. We're seeing a lot of passing, and they're getting chances, but once they get those chances, they're not putting it on net. And I know that sounds cliche, but it is the reality.
Yeah.
They're not putting enough shots on net.
Not enough traffic either, I don't think.
Exactly, and
right?
we saw it recently with Jacques Martin. They started putting Mark Kastelic out front. They had Yuri Smejkal when he was up here out front as well. So they've tried it at times, but they don't really go all in like they should in terms of putting men out front, and you got to do that. You got to create some chaos in front, and they haven't done enough of that. So I'm no expert by any means, but it doesn't take a genius to figure out that things need to be changed.
Yeah, it seems to be a very perimeter style of power play where we're not getting people, closer to the net. As you said, Norris in his typical spot for that one-timer, and I think for a lot of people they felt that maybe that needed to change at some point because people would start expecting it. Well, that doesn't mean you go away from it completely. What do you think about Staios? Just to go back into the front office kind of thing, being named as general manager or naming himself as general manager. I'm sure Ann Lauer's the final say in that. What do you think about that decision?
Yeah, well, look, I mean, Steve Staios is an award. He won the OHL championship. He built a championship team in the OHL, so he has the championship pedigree. And I think as a general manager, especially with new ownership, you have to have trust between ownership and management. There's certainly trust there. They've worked together, of course. That's why he was brought in. And you've seen hires like Dave Poulin, for example. You've seen hires to help, create depth, I guess you can call it, for lack of better words, in the management side of things. I'd like to see
been lacking, right?
Oh, without a doubt. Without
across the board with this franchise for years. We're going to take a quick break.
Yes.
He's going to stick around. You're going to stick around. We'll continue some Sens talk right after this. Don't go anywhere.
I like that.
Join us for the new season of Ottawa Storytellers, right here on Rogers TV.
Watch Podium exclusively on Rogers TV.
I did it. I need it. Okay.
hero gave it.
And I am alive.
As an organ donor, you can save up to 8 lives and enhance the lives of 75 others. Please go to our website. Pledge a gift of life. You'll be glad you did.
On Rogers TV.
Welcome back to the show. We continue our conversation around our Ottawa Senators. The host of the Sens Talk podcast, back with us, Brandon. Let's talk goaltending, because this is another one that I think frustrates fans to no end. We've had goaltending problems for so many years. These goaltenders, they go to other teams and all of a sudden they turn their game around. Korpisalo signed to a 5-year contract. He's struggled mightily. People are already talking about buying this guy out in the offseason. I don't think that's a good idea necessarily, but just like to get your thoughts on the goaltending.
Such a fascinating player, I'll be honest with you. So fascinating, because if you look in tight, he makes some big stops. He's an athletic goalie. He's a big goalie. But for some reason, if you look at the advanced analytics, it really doesn't make any sense. From the long distance, 50 feet out or so, he's the worst goaltender for save percentage and goals saved above expected in the National Hockey League. It doesn't make any sense. From 40, 50 feet out, glove side, top shelf, every single time. I don't know if that's a positioning thing. I don't know if that's a confidence thing. But for some reason, the tough saves and tight that should probably go, and he's stopping. But the shots that, frankly, you and I probably could maybe get in front of and get a good piece of. Maybe.
You haven't seen me skate, pal.
You know?
I'm not even good stationary on skates.
But the point simply is, look, he's obviously better than you and I in goaltending, but it's just shocking to see some of the goals that go in, because he's a good goaltender. You know, a lot of people give him a hard time. They say that he never really had a strong pedigree in the National Hockey League, doesn't have a strong resume. That's false. It's false. He has a strong resume. Took the Kings last year to the playoffs as well. It was a 1A, 1B situation in Columbus, but he started a lot of games, put up good numbers on a mediocre, Columbus Blue Jacket team. No offense to the Blue Jacket fans out there. So,
but are you willing, as a fan, are you willing to give this guy more time?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, okay.
Of course.
Okay, I'm in that same.
He started like 20 games or so. I mean, we're going to buy him out? You can't do that. That's not fair.
Again, you mentioned, too, talking about changes in the front office. Yeah. We've seen, changes in analytics. We've seen changes, in trainers. And then we had a goaltending coach change as well. Yeah. So, okay, we haven't seen necessarily a big change from that position yet, but that doesn't mean it's not coming. We just talked about Jacques Martin. Right?
Exactly.
Same sort of situation with Jacques Martin. It's like, let's be patient, give this guy a little bit more time. The defense. Look at did you see the reaction right there? But do you not think there's been some improvement on the back end?
For sure. For sure. I think we've absolutely seen some improvement. And, that's why it's so shocking that some of these goals are going in, because the defense, like I already mentioned, the shots against per game have dropped nearly 10 shots per game. The penalty kill has improved by nearly 20 points. We're seeing the Senators carry the puck far more, and they're jamming the neutral zone far more as well. So it's instead of letting, the guys walk in on the opposing team and just dropping back, they're pressuring, they're forcing them out to the outside, to the board areas. So it is a very interesting situation right now with the Ottawa Senators. But look, they're 6-2-2 in their last 10. Mm-hmm. They're playing a little better, but it might be a little too late.
And I mean, that's the other thing that I think fans get concerned about is, we've seen it the last few seasons where we've started really slow and then they've progressed, and all of a sudden near the end of the season they start getting better. They start winning some of those games. As fans, we go, stop winning. Do you think it's important they get like a top 10 pick because of the situation they find themselves in right now?
With all honesty, I'm going to be very selfish about this. I make YouTube videos after every game.
Yeah.
The better they play, the better I do. I have more fans in the comment section. We can go back and forth. It's just more fun. The vibes are much better when they win.
Right.
Unselfishly and in terms of helping the long-term trajectory of the franchise, yeah, you probably want to lose some games and get a better draft pick, but I'll never hope the Sens lose, even in the deep rebuild years. I hope they win. It's a sport. You got to have fun, right?
You and I talked about this before the show as well. That prospect pool is dwindling, right?
Yes.
I mean, last year we didn't have a pick in the top 3 rounds, right? If you look at Belleville, which I know I've been impressed. Actually, they're playing as a team. They've played well, but Cruikshank's great. But beyond Cruikshank and I don't know, Clevin, do we have anybody that's an NHL player?
Yeah, there's a real issue there, I'll be honest. And that's what happens when you have some terrible asset management. You have to trade picks to get rid of cap, for example, like Zaitsev for one, Murray for another. And then you also have a lot of your guys that you brought up during the rebuild now on the team, really. Greg, Shane Pinto, the list goes on. You still have a couple guys there, like we kind of alluded to. Tyler Clevin, going to be a great, I think, 4 or 5 defenseman, the National Hockey League fiscal guy. Angus Cruikshank, friend of the show, absolute beauty. I'm a little biased in this regard, but he had a great overtime win against Syracuse. Great Sully. So for sure. He's right. So he's a good player. But then you have a guy like Lassie Thompson, who is a first-round draft pick of a few years ago, who likely, it's been reported, will be going back to Finland to play pro hockey next year. It's just a rumor, but that's what's expected. So they do need to restock the cupboard a little bit in the prospect side of things.
Any other rumors that you give any credence to? Chychrun's been talked about a lot. I think he's spoken about it. No concerns with his attitude and whether he feels like he wants to stay with this franchise?
From everything I've heard and everything we've seen in the media, there's no reason to believe that Jacob Chychrun wants to leave the Ottawa Senators. It's his hometown, why would he want to leave? He cried when he got traded here, right? So I never bought into those rumors, to be honest with you. I think he wants to stay, but I also think there's some truth to it. There's a lot of cap implications around his next contract. There's only 2 teams in the National Hockey League with 2 defensemen making $8+ million. That's the Ottawa Senators, of course, Chychrun and Chabot. Sanderson and Chabot. And for the New York Rangers, it's Trouba and Fox. So there's a reason for that. So either somebody has to be dealt on the blue line, maybe someone in the forward court is dealt, but somebody will have to be moved to alleviate some cap space to keep Chychrun in.
I got 20 seconds left.
Yes.
Very quickly, how do they vote for you for the Faces Magazine nominations you're up for?
If you go to the Faces Magazine Ottawa website, I believe there's a portal there. We're up for all those 5 different nominations. You'll see us in digital and social and in media under those categories,
Wonderful.
And we appreciate it. Thank you.
Wish you the best of luck.
Wish you the best
You'll
of
be
luck.
back March 11th?
Yes, of
course.
course.
Talk about the trade deadline and see if anything happened. You never know. We'll be back with more right after this.
Join me, holistic chef Daniela Croco, for season 4 of Simply Cooking by Chef right here on Rogers TV.
Learn all about the creation of the National Capital Region on The History of Ottawa, according to Phil Jenkins, on Rogers TV.
Public transit, garbage pickup, parks and recreation programs, snow removal on your street. How can you stay informed about these and other important local services? Tune to City Council coverage on Rogers TV. See your community leaders at work on Rogers TV City Council coverage.
I'm Sam LaPrade. I hope you watch An Hour to Give, because this week we're featuring the Ottawa Hospital Foundation. We're talking about the world-class care and the world-class talent that is right here in our hometown.
Welcome back to the show. Let's review a couple of things we talked about on today's show. First and foremost, big thanks to Paula Roy. Of course, you can watch her show, Paula Roy's Favorite Foods, right here on Rogers TV. Check out the rogerstv.com website. And don't forget all those recipes that Paula talked about, the big game coming up on Sunday. She's got some fantastic recipes at constantlycooking.com. Want to remind you as well, Victoria from Doggo Cakes and Treats, she's got a couple of events coming up around Valentine's Day. One of them is Valentine's Day at Healthy Pets HQ. They're located at 420 Bank Street. That's this weekend, I believe, this Saturday from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. And then she'll be at the Valentine's Day Market, the Barkett Place Market. Love that idea. At the Cumberland R.J. Kennedy Arena. That is February 11th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. She's got her Easter Market that's coming up as well on March 24th. But you can find out all that information, all those events on her website at doggocakesandtreats.square.site. And if you want to get get involved with the Ottawa Community Land Trust, find out more about it, what their mission is. And of course, if you'd like to make a donation or get one of those bonds, you can check them out at oclt.ca. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time here on Daytime.
Connect with us by visiting our website or email us at comments@rogerstv.com.
Ottawa, it's the national capital of Canada. But how much do you know about the city's history? This is Phil Jenkins. Join me as I take you on a journey through Bytown's beginnings, Ottawa's crowning as capital, amalgamation, and its becoming a city of 1 million citizens. Watch The History of Ottawa, according to Phil Jenkins, exclusively on Rogers TV.